Admiral Cassandra Cass. Alden stood at the reinforced observation window of the UNS Vanguard's command deck, her gaze sweeping across a sea of stars that sparkled with silent intensity. She was a woman of contradictions, composed yet fiercely determined, watchful yet yearning for peace. 30 years had passed since the final ceasefire of the resource conflict, a series of wars that nearly brought Earth to ruin, and Cass had lived through the tail end of that dark era. Now, the same war-worn vigilance that had saved humanity from itself kept her spine rigid whenever the alarms of the Vanguard's long-range sensors hinted at a new threat. The starfield beyond the window remained mesmerizingly still, as though it were oblivious to the bustle of the human warship patrolling near the edge of Earth's gravitational boundary. Cass folded her arms behind her back and inhaled slowly. Reports indicated a mysterious signal, unlike anything her intelligence team had cataloged before. It had originated from deep space, near the outer periphery of the solar system, then vanished. Such oddities had occurred rarely in the last decade, and most were dismissed as cosmic noise or ephemeral phenomena. This one felt different. She turned around to face the main holo display. Lieutenant Vera Kimball, in charge of early warning systems, was busy correlating data from an unmanned probe that had been sent to investigate. General Marcus Ewing and the Earth Security Council had pressed for quick answers. How big the potential threat was, and whether it was actually a threat at all. Lieutenant Kimball, Cass said, her voice even but carrying the subtle authority of a seasoned commander. Give me the latest. Kimball flicked her wrist over a holo control, bringing up lines of data that cascaded into a 3D representation of the outer region of the solar system. Admiral, the probe's sensors confirmed an anomaly. It's not a rogue asteroid or natural stellar occurrence. We're picking up electromagnetic emissions consistent with propulsion or communications technology. The signature is quite advanced, definitely not from any Earth-based ships or colonies. That pronouncement settled like a weight in the air. Cass inhaled, her mind spinning through years of training, readiness drills, and all the caution hammered into humanity after almost self-destructing. The consensus had long been that life beyond Earth, if discovered, would arrive either as friend, foe, or complete enigma. The tension lay in not knowing which category to expect. She nodded. Have we attempted direct communication? We've tried, ma'am, Kimball replied. No response yet, but we only began active transmissions a few hours ago. The Admiral's stare dropped to the swirling depiction of the unknown contact. We'll keep trying. Continue Project Silver I protocols. I want an updated feed every hour. Project Silver I was a specialized surveillance initiative designed to detect and analyze any foreign intrusion in Earth space. It combined advanced quantum-laced sensor nets with AI-based pattern recognition. Humanity's brushes with annihilation during the resource conflict had led to major leaps in defensive technology and sensor innovation. Although these achievements were often overshadowed by the public's desire to forget the horrors of war, Cass and her colleagues in the military had not forgotten. Leaving the display, she made her way to her command chair, a high-backed seat perched on a circular dais. The hum of the Vanguard's engines vibrated through the deck plates, reminding her that humans now navigated far beyond Earth itself. They had industrial outposts on the Moon and Mars, a fledgling colony in orbit around Jupiter, and a string of resource stations in the asteroid belt. Yet all of these developments hinged on maintaining peace and stability. Her console pinged, a secure channel request from General Marcus Ewing. Cass tapped the acceptance key, and a holoscreen materialized in front of her with the familiar visage of the Earth Security Council's leader. He was in his early 60s, hair cropped short, eyes sharp with the responsibility of safeguarding humanity. Behind him stretched the wide window of the orbital command station that hung above Earth, surveying all incoming traffic. Admiral Alden, Ewing said briskly, we've reviewed your preliminary findings. The Council wants to know the probability that this contact is non-human. There's little doubt about it, General, she replied, shoulders firm. Based on the propulsion signatures alone, we're dealing with something beyond our current design. No known Earth, Mars, or lunafaction operates engines of that frequency. We're still investigating their origin. Ewing's mouth tightened in a line. Understood. The Council concurs with your approach. Maintain a cautious stance, attempt communication, and avoid any overt hostility. We must not provoke them. He paused. But you know the stakes. Earth can't afford a second resource conflict, especially not with an outside force. Cass gave a curt nod. She had expected as much. We'll remain on watch and stand by for further instructions. The hololink terminated, leaving her alone with her thoughts. She wondered, not for the first time, how people on Earth would react if tomorrow's headlines declared they were no longer alone in the universe. Perhaps some would rejoice and imagine cosmic neighbors with advanced wisdom. Others might recoil in fear, remembering that battles for survival are not exclusive to earthly borders. Time crawled. Over the next day, the unknown signal repeated once, then fell silent. The unmanned probe, continuing its approach, picked up stronger electromagnetic pulses, which confirmed the presence of multiple vessels. By the second day, the Vanguard's monitors clearly showed at least 5 distinct sources heading into the solar system. They were traveling at speeds humans could only match with top-end military ships, yet they moved in a deliberate, formation-like pattern. Each vessel was massive, apparently interlinked with the others, as if they were preparing for a coordinated effort. Word filtered through the Earth Security Council. The signal might be an attempt at contact. Cass was instructed to hail them politely, but to reveal as little as possible about the true extent of Earth's defenses. Humanity had prepared for potential interplanetary or even interstellar threats by developing hidden technology, some of it so advanced that many civilians never learned of it. After the harrowing wars that nearly destroyed all civilization on Earth, secrecy and security had become paramount. Lieutenant Kimball announced they had received a response at last, an audio snippet, heavily modulated. The AI translations spiked in complexity, but eventually hammered out an approximate interpretation. Something along the lines of "We come to explore new territory. Request approach to your world." Cass responded on a wideband channel, stating that Earth recognized their presence, that she was Admiral Cassandra Alden representing the people of Earth, and that they were welcome to approach under monitored conditions. The message was intentionally diplomatic, carefully curated. She avoided giving any sign of desperation or vulnerability. Within hours, a new message arrived from the strangers, identifying themselves as the Talar Dominion. They expressed curiosity about the human species, but offered no detailed explanation of their purpose. The Earth Security Council convened a strategy session in record time. Cass joined via encrypted feed from the Vanguard's command deck. Each council member's holographic presence flickered around the circular meeting room, a testament to how technology had progressed. Ewing, seated at the central podium, surveyed the faces, most of them anxious and uncertain. Counselor Chun, known for her passionate stance on diplomacy, spoke up. This could be the biggest moment in human history. There's every reason to greet them in peace, to share knowledge, perhaps gain new insights that can save our planet from further resource depletion. Counselor Estevez, a retired admiral herself, let out a low breath. Or they could see us as ripe for exploitation. We've only just stabilized after the resource conflict. The last thing we need is to reveal any sign of weakness that invites conquest. Cass interjected from her feed. Either scenario is possible. We must balance caution with courtesy. If the Talar Dominion are as advanced as they appear, open hostility might trigger a confrontation we're not ready for. Yet we can't afford blind trust. Ewing listened with the stoicism of a man used to heavy burdens. Then it settled. We'll proceed under standard first contact protocols, maintaining cordial communication while masking our true military capabilities. Admiral Alden, you'll lead the initial welcome from orbit. We'll keep the Hyperion fleet on standby. Mention of the Hyperion fleet caused a slight tension across everyone's features. It was Earth's hidden ace, a grouping of stealth-equipped warships armed with quantum-laced weaponry and advanced shielding that had not been disclosed to the broader public. Its existence was the direct result of the resource conflict's desperate final phase, when human engineers and scientists found themselves forced to innovate with limited resources and horrifying necessity. The technology that emerged was strange, sometimes borderline dangerous, but offered a potent edge if ever Earth faced an existential threat again. Cass ended the meeting with a salute and turned to her crew. Prepare a small official escort for the Talar vessels. Older models, minimal armaments. We want them to see only what we choose. Keep the Vanguard's advanced systems offline or in stealth mode. Understood. Her officers nodded. They had been trained for exactly this scenario, though few had expected the day to come so soon. The resource conflict had ended a generation ago, but memories of near extinction lingered among leadership. Secrecy was the new norm. In less than 24 hours, the alien flotilla reached the outskirts of Earth domain. They slowed near the orbit of Mars before adjusting trajectory. The Vanguard sensors captured the silhouettes of 5 large ships. They appeared to be elongated, with a blend of metallic surfaces and what looked like organic layering, perhaps some bioengineering or alloy fusion. Every new data packet that came in hinted at technology beyond humanity's immediate understanding, especially in terms of propulsion. Cass oversaw the deployment of 2 older frigates, the UNS Legacy and the UNS Praetorian, to greet the visitors. These frigates were fully functional, but decades behind the Vanguard's modern capabilities. They would show the aliens that Earth possessed some measure of spacefaring defense, without hinting at the more formidable arsenal lying dormant. Talar Dominion responded to the gesture with unusual curiosity. They acknowledged the small, welcoming party and asked permission to move closer to Earth, presumably for diplomatic talks. Cass's staff rapidly assembled a welcoming committee on the orbital command station, a massive structure that served as the nerve center for Earth's planetary defenses, albeit with many of those defenses disguised or hidden behind archaic exteriors. Admiral Alden took a personal shuttle to the station, docking at one of its high-security bays. She was greeted by the sight of General Ewing waiting, flanked by a team of diplomatic aides and security personnel. Past a towering set of reinforced doors lay the grand reception hall, featuring panoramic windows that offered a stunning view of Earth below, a vibrant blue sphere nestled in the blackness of space. They didn't have to wait long. A smaller craft from the lead Talar ship approached and docked. When the hatch cycled open, Cass got her first direct look at the Talar. They were slender beings, tall compared to humans, with hands that ended in 3 long digits and elongated arms that moved with a fluid grace. Their skin was a subdued silver tone, at times catching the overhead lights and refracting them in patterns reminiscent of fish scales. Their faces possessed 2 large eyes and a series of thin ridges instead of a nose, but they wore minimal expression, making it difficult to read them. "Welcome to Earth's Orbital Command Station," Cass said clearly, stepping forward. "I am Admiral Cassandra Alden. This is General Marcus Ewing of our Security Council." A figure at the front, perhaps their leader, inclined its head. "I am High Commander Savara of the Talar Dominion. We come in peace to learn about your species and your world." The words were rendered through the station's AI translator. The voice that emerged was calm, almost melodic, yet the shape of Savara's mouth never moved in sync. Cass guessed the Talar might communicate partially through electromagnetic signals or internal resonances. She gave a slight bow in return. Earth's representatives led the aliens through the reception area. Diplomatic pleasantries were exchanged, though the Talar Dominion quickly shifted conversation to Earth's level of technology, the nature of the station's weaponry, and how the planet managed interplanetary defense. Their questions felt pointed, their curiosity intense. Cass exchanged a fleeting glance with Ewing, who wore a practiced, neutral expression. "The defense systems you see," Cass explained, gesturing at a row of older projectile cannons visible through a transparent bay, "are sufficient for our needs. We focus on protecting our orbital facilities and handling minor meteoroid threats." One of the Talars stepped forward, a slight tilt to its elongated head. "These projectile weapons appear quite basic. Are you sure your civilization is capable of outer planetary resource extraction with such minimal protection?" There it was, thinly veiled condescension. Cass kept her voice level. They served their purpose. The alien's gaze wandered toward the windows, where Earth's glimmering disk floated like a jewel. Fascinating that your species survived internal wars severe enough to consume your planet's resources. Many do not recover from such devastation in under a century. General Ewing interjected, tone controlled. Humans are resilient. We adapt, we rebuild. If nothing else, we've learned to guard what we have. This initial meeting ended cordially enough, with an invitation for the Taller to tour some of Earth's facilities, all carefully curated to mask advanced systems. However, Cass could sense the aliens were not entirely convinced. Her suspicions were confirmed when the station's sensor officers informed her that one of the Taller Dominion ships had begun deploying reconnaissance probes near the dark side of the moon, exactly where the Hyperion fleet was concealed. Back on the Vanguard, Cass and her crew watched the sensor readouts with growing concern. "We've detected their probes, scanning the area," Lieutenant Kimball reported. "They might pick up trace readings of our stealth fields." Cass set her jaw. "We can't let them discover the Hyperion fleet. Not yet. Transmit false signals along their scanning frequencies. Overwhelm them with decoy data. We'll see if that satisfies them." For a time, it worked, or at least it appeared to. The Taller continued to broadcast messages of friendship and exploration, but they also requested more detailed tours of Earth's defensive outposts. Cass directed them to older stations around Earth and Mars, showing them equipment mostly from the previous generation of warfare. Weapon platforms that functioned but were overshadowed by the hidden quantum-lace technology that Earth had poured its resources into in the aftermath of the resource conflict. Even so, the Taller's lines of questioning grew increasingly direct. They asked about Earth's population, resource distribution, and economic structures. High Commander Savara politely inquired whether Earth had discovered efficient extraction methods for certain metals or isotopes. Cass deflected as best she could, offering partial truths. She recalled that the Council had specifically warned about revealing the advanced warp-scrambling devices or graviton-based weapon prototypes, both integral to the Hyperion fleet's arsenal. Late one evening station time, Cass found herself alone in the observation corridor. She gazed at the distant shape of the leading Taller vessel, a glimmering crescent of alien metal that dwarfed Earth's older frigates. A voice interrupted her reverie. "Admiral," came a quiet greeting. She turned to find Ewing walking up, arms folded. "Can't sleep either, General?" she asked softly. He shook his head. "When I was younger, first contact with an alien civilization felt like a grand fantasy. Now it's here, and all I feel is dread." Cass exhaled. "Because we don't know if they truly come in peace. They clearly have advanced capabilities, and they show an unhealthy interest in what we can or cannot defend." Ewing lowered his voice. "I've been reading intelligence briefs about the Taller Dominion's queries. They're systematically scanning for high-density resource deposits across our solar system. And we have no idea what their intention is once they confirm that we possess the very minerals they need." She closed her eyes. "You think they'll take it by force if they can?" "I don't know," he admitted. "But if they view us as technologically inferior, they might assume we're easy to subjugate." He paused. "We can't show all our cards. But if they push us, we may have no choice," Cass finished. "Let's hope it doesn't come to that." The next day, a hush fell over Earth's leadership. The Taller Dominion had repositioned their ships in a pincer-like formation, subtle enough not to signal outright aggression, but enough to raise alarm. Their scans intensified around the moon. One of their vessels even launched small drones that ventured dangerously close to the hidden Hyperion fleet. A coded communique reached the Vanguard from the undisclosed flagship of the stealth group. Signs of partial detection had been confirmed. The Taller might already know that Earth had more muscle than it was admitting. At midday, a sharp alert sounded on the orbital command station. Cass and Ewing rushed into the control room. On the main display, an incoming message from the Taller flagship demanded immediate clarification about anomalous quantum signatures near Earth's satellite. The demand was curt, lacking the earlier polite veneer. Cass could almost feel the tension tightening around her chest. She opened a comm channel. High Commander Savara, this is Admiral Alden. What is the nature of your concern? Savara appeared on screen, silver skin reflecting flecks of starlight, eyes narrowed in what humans might interpret as anger. Our instrumentation detects advanced quantum manipulations inconsistent with the level of technology you have thus far displayed. Are you withholding critical information? Are you attempting to deceive us about your civilization's defensive capabilities? Ewing stood at Cass's shoulder, murmuring, "They're calling us out. They must have conclusive evidence about the Hyperion fleet." She gave him a slight nod. Cass kept her voice calm. "High Commander, we have never claimed to be helpless. Earth has certain defensive measures developed after our last devastating conflict, but we deemed it prudent not to flaunt them. Our intention was never to threaten you." Savara's tone turned colder. "That is for the Dominion to judge. We see deceit in your actions. You present yourself as a recovering civilization, yet you hide formidable technology. Such deception is an act of bad faith." Before Cass could respond, the signal cut out. The entire control room went silent as readouts flared across the main screen. The Talar Dominion ships were powering up weapons. "Admiral," barked the station's tactical officer, "they're targeting our orbital defense platforms." Beams of intense energy lanced out from the lead Talar vessel, striking Earth's older projectile turrets. Metal exploded in shards of debris that scattered into space. Sirens wailed throughout the station. Cass cursed under her breath. "All hands to battle stations. Deploy the Legacy and Praetorian to screen the station. Send word to the Vanguard. Prepare to engage." She exchanged a grave look with Ewing. "And alert the Hyperion fleet. We have no choice now." Ewing pressed his lips together. "Do it. No half measures. If the Talar want to test us, we have to show them the cost." Even as Cass relayed the go code, her chest tightened with the weight of what was about to happen. She had prayed that Earth could avoid open conflict. Yet the memory of the resource conflict was an ever-present shadow in the minds of every high-ranking officer. Being unprepared for aggression could doom them all. Outside, the older frigates moved to defend the orbital command station. The Talar fired again, scorching the hull of the UNS Praetorian. Its shields, based on older generation technology, collapsed under the onslaught of advanced alien weaponry. Chunks of plating sheared off. The vessel spun, trailing debris. The Talar seemed to prefer crippling shots rather than immediate annihilation. Then, the Vanguard burst into view, roaring from the far side of Earth, its more modern shield system crackling a faint blue haze. Laser pulses and mass driver rounds spat from its batteries toward the nearest Talar ship. Most dissipated against the alien shields, but at least it forced the Talar to shift some of their focus. Commander Reyna Barlow, Cass's trusted second-in-command, patched in from the Vanguard's helm. "Admiral, we're engaging, but their shielding is better than anything we've seen. We may not be able to overpower them with conventional arms." Cass's jaw tightened. "Understood, Commander. Stall them long enough for the rest of our plan to unfold." Less than a minute later, reports flooded in from the far side of the moon. The Hyperion fleet had decloaked. Hidden quantum lattice arrays rippled around stealth hulls, revealing multiple cutting-edge warships that had been overshadowed by illusions of emptiness. They soared into range, their silhouette bristling with advanced weapon emplacements. True to its name, the Hyperion fleet carried Earth's boldest breakthroughs: graviton lances, quantum disruptors, and a new generation of adaptive shielding that had remained a secret from all but the highest echelons. For a brief moment, Cass imagined how shocking this must look from the Talar vantage point. A species that claimed primitive ballistic weaponry, now unveiling a fully operational, highly advanced battle group bristling with unexpected power. The next transmissions from the aliens confirmed that shock. A Talar officer's voice crackled over open channels. "Impossible. Their technology, this can't be the same species that survived primitive resource wars a mere century ago." Cass addressed the station's comm system, voice resolute. "Talar Dominion, you have attacked our vessels unprovoked. We are activating our full defensive capacity. Stand down or be neutralized." High Commander Savara reappeared on the main screen, color draining from her silver skin. You concealed all this. Why? She received no immediate answer. Earth's warships accelerated into strike formation. A barrage of quantum-laced beams lashed across the gap between them and the Talar. These beams partially bypassed the crystalline defenses that had confidently withstood conventional missiles, tearing glowing rents in the outer plating of the alien ships. One Talar cruiser wobbled, engines flickering as if vital systems had been disrupted. In response, the lead Talar vessel unleashed a wave of scorching pulses that hammered into the Hyperion ships. The human advance shields rippled dangerously but did not collapse. Motes of bright energy flared, and for a heartbeat, everything hung in precarious balance. Shots from the Vanguard peppered the exposed flank of a second Talar ship, forcing it into evasive maneuvers. On the orbital command station, Ewing stared in awe. I never thought we'd reveal the full might of the Hyperion fleet this soon. The entire solar system will see it now, not just the Talar. Cass responded grimly, and that's what it took to keep them from walking over us. The exchange was brutal but short. The Talar Dominion, despite being advanced, found themselves facing a brand of technology that had sprung from Earth's do-or-die history. The resource conflict forced humanity to innovate in ways that defied standard progressions. They had discovered unconventional solutions to energy manipulation, forging an arsenal that integrated quantum anomalies with standard engineering. As deadly beams flared, the Talar quickly realized the cost of their miscalculation. Commander Barlow's voice came through again. Admiral, the enemy formation is collapsing. We're detecting a shift in their power output. It looks like they're diverting energy away from weapons to reinforce critical systems. Cass studied the readouts. One of the largest Talar ships had lost partial propulsion, drifting as its engines sputtered. She seized the moment. Open a channel to the Talar Dominion flagship. High Commander Savara's harried features appeared. Her vessel was clearly shaking, emergency lights flickering in the background. Cass took a measured breath. We do not wish for further bloodshed. Earth will not be conquered, nor will we be pawns. If you came in peace, prove it now by standing down. Savara's gaze flicked across some unseen console. She coughed, a raspy sound, perhaps the Talar equivalent. Your technology is beyond anything we expected. Our Dominion, had protocols for dealing with developing worlds. We assessed your risk as minimal. We were wrong. Cass's voice resonated with a quiet anger. Wrong enough to fire first, to treat us like a resource waiting to be claimed. Savara did not deny it. We were pressed by our own resource crisis. We needed to secure vital materials. Our approach was guided by doctrine. We believed you too primitive to negotiate fairly. Let this be your lesson, then, Cass said, narrowing her eyes. We are not so easily subdued. Disengage your weapons. Withdraw or agree to real negotiations. Savara's silver skin rippled with some unfamiliar emotion. She spoke a few words in her own language to someone off-screen, then faced Cass. We will stand down. We will open channels for negotiation. Our Dominion cannot afford war with a species that wields such unexpected power. The wave of relief that washed over the orbital command station felt almost dizzying. Casualties were minimal, mostly from the older frigates that had borne the brunt of the initial onslaught. The station's battered defense platforms were a small price to pay compared to a full-scale cosmic war. Cass nodded sharply to Ewing. They exchanged a silent acknowledgement that the gamble had succeeded. Earth had proven itself too dangerous to subjugate easily. In the hours that followed, the Dominion ships withdrew from their threatening formation, regrouping a safe distance from Earth. Their damaged vessel, still adrift, was carefully towed by the others. Cass remained on high alert. The Hyperion fleet maintained a loose perimeter, stealth fields partially active, ready to respond to any new threat. But for the moment, the fighting had ceased. A day later, a smaller delegation from Talar returned to the orbital command station. This time, High Commander Savara herself arrived with only one aide, a sign of lowered guard or, at least, an attempt to appear less intimidating. Cass and Ewing stood in the same reception hall as before, the tension replaced by a quiet wariness. "You have our apologies for the hostile engagement," Savara said through the translator device. "We acknowledge that we underestimated your species. The Dominion believed you lacked advanced defenses. We now see that you possess technology that even we cannot fully comprehend." General Ewing was the first to speak. "Earth accepts your apology, provided your Dominion ceases any further aggression. We suggest establishing a joint research committee to discuss mutual resource cooperation." Savara nodded, her eyes shifting toward Cass. "That might be beneficial. Our Dominion does face an energy crisis, which compelled us to search new territories for solutions. But we must approach as equals, not as conquerors." A flicker of hope crossed Cass's mind. There was a chance that the two civilizations could find a path forward, though trust would not come easily after a near battle for Earth sovereignty. She recalled the countless hours of design and planning that went into forging the Hyperion fleet in secret, the moral debates about whether humanity should hide behind illusions to preserve security. Now, ironically, that deception had prevented them from being overrun. "Admiral," Savara continued, "I must ask, how did your people develop such unconventional technology and so quickly after nearly destroying yourselves in your so-called resource conflict?" Cass thought back to the desperate days after the war, how entire continents lay in ruin, how scientists and engineers worked under catastrophic scarcity to rebuild. They had tackled fundamental issues of energy and propulsion with the raw creativity that only survival instincts can fuel. "Necessity," she answered quietly. "We had limited resources, battered infrastructure, and no outside help. So we looked at problems from angles no one else considered. The result is technology that doesn't follow the usual progression." Savara's silver skin flickered. "It seems that adversity truly can breed innovation. Perhaps your story holds lessons for the Dominion as well." They walked together through the corridor, gazing at Earth spinning quietly below. Delegates from both sides began drafting the outline of a ceasefire, some kind of collaborative framework. Cass knew it would be fragile. Suspicion would linger. The Talar Dominion had already proven they were willing to attack if they believed Earth was an easy target. Now that Earth was not so easy, they'd attempt negotiations. But would they remain allies once they discovered new ways to secure what they needed? For the time being, a precarious peace settled. Hyperion fleet maintained readiness near the moon, its ships ever watchful. On Earth, the Council scrambled to adjust official statements. They could not hide the confrontation entirely. Rumors spread among the populace about alien ships, about advanced human warships being revealed in battle. Some were terrified that war had almost broken out. Others were exhilarated that humanity had stood its ground. A second round of diplomatic talks took place the following day. This time, the discussions delved deeper into resource sharing and scientific exchange. The Talar asked whether Earth would be open to offering them certain isotopes abundant in the asteroid belt. In exchange, they mentioned advanced bioalloy processes that might revolutionize off-world construction. Cass sensed the subtext. The Talar Dominion wanted enough resources to fuel a quick fix for their crises. She wondered if they'd ever fully respect Earth as an equal partner, or merely see them as a necessary nuisance to be placated. Later, alone in her private quarters on the orbital command station, Cass typed up a final report for the Earth Security Council. She described the near conflict, the unveiling of the Hyperion fleet, and the partial resolution. Her concluding lines read, "For decades, we prepared for an unknown threat that might see Earth as vulnerable. We proved that we are not. Yet the future remains uncertain. We stand on the precipice of a vast galactic community. Let's hope the Talar have learned not to underestimate those who appear, at first, weaker than they are." She transmitted the message to Ewing, then shut down her console. Walking toward the window, she placed a hand against the reinforced glass. The station lights were dimmed for the artificial night cycle. Outside, the stars shimmered in silent testament to how small Earth truly was in the cosmic scale. But humanity had advanced. They had survived their own self-inflicted near extinction and emerged more dangerous and determined than any outsider could guess. A discreet alert pinged from her wrist comm. The pilot of her shuttle reported that High Commander Savara was requesting a private conversation on a secure channel. Cass arched a brow, intrigued. She stepped back to the console and opened the line. Savara appeared in the projected display, her features subdued compared to the earlier expressions of confrontation. "Admiral Alden," she began quietly, "I wanted to speak with you away from the official negotiations. I sense we share something in common: responsibility for the survival of our people. The Dominion has always absorbed smaller civilizations that could not resist. But you're not small or weak. Your existence challenges much of what we believed about early-stage societies." Cass measured her words carefully. "I appreciate your candor. The question is, do you intend to remain in peaceful dialogue, or will your people attempt another method of subjugation later?" Savara lowered her gaze. "I cannot promise the Dominion's internal factions will all choose cooperation, but I can promise that I will push for a mutually beneficial arrangement. Our resource crisis is dire, yet a full-scale war would cost us dearly. Your fleet proved that beyond doubt." Cass nodded. "War doesn't benefit us either. Our planet spent too many years rebuilding from rubble. But we won't submit, not after coming this far." For a moment, Savara was silent. "There's something else. I studied your historical records. You humans nearly destroyed yourselves before you ever reached the stars. That paradox intrigues me. How can a species so perilous to its own kind suddenly unify to repel an external threat with such cohesion?" A faint smile tugged at Cass's lips. "We have a stubborn will to survive. Once we recognized we might lose everything, it forced us to adapt. Adversity can forge unity, at least for a time." Savara's image flickered. "Then let us hope adversity unites us now instead of dividing us." "Thank you, Admiral." The communication ended, leaving Cass alone with her thoughts. She turned back to watch Earth once more, the planet she had pledged her life to protect. There was a chance, she realized, that the Talar Dominion, having faced an unanticipated challenge, might become a cautious partner. But old habits die hard. The Dominion evidently had an expansionist streak shaped by their own survival needs. They might see Earth as either a reluctant ally or a future competitor. The path ahead was uncertain, overshadowed by lingering distrust. In the following days, the two sides made incremental progress on a formal treaty. A small technical team of Talar scientists visited the surface under strict supervision, touring sites that had once been central to the resource conflict but were now part of Earth's advanced research complexes. Meanwhile, human specialists inspected some of the Talar's computational arrays to glean insights into their methods. Everything remained carefully stage-managed on both sides, each reluctant to reveal deeper secrets. The memory of those scorching energy beams in Earth's orbit kept everyone vigilant. Throughout these interactions, Cass kept the Hyperion fleet primed for immediate action. The warships hovered near the moon's far side, sensors attuned to the Dominion's every move. Earth's major population centers never even glimpsed them except through rumor and speculation. For centuries, humankind had dreamed of contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. Now that it was real, it was colored by tension, subterfuge, and near battle. In quiet corners of the orbital command station, Cass sometimes caught a glimpse of the battered UNS Praetorian being repaired in a docking bay. Twisted metal reminded her of how close they had come to tragedy. She hoped that the next wave of alien visitors might arrive with less arrogance, or that perhaps the Talar Dominion would learn to approach the universe differently. But old animosities were rarely solved overnight. Her final meeting with Savara took place in a smaller briefing room, where the walls displayed a holographic tapestry of Earth's continents, showing swaths of green and blue. Savara admitted that the Dominion once believed they could simply impose their protocols on newly discovered species, gradually absorbing them. Now, confronted with humankind's advanced defenses, they were compelled to explore diplomacy as a real avenue. Cass sensed a hint of respect in Savara's posture and tone, though it was muddled by underlying caution. She returned the sentiment. offering the possibility of genuine cooperation if the Dominion refrained from any further show of force. As the negotiations drew to a close, Savara and her people returned to their ships. A few days later, the imposing alien vessels began to retreat from Earth's orbit. The largest ones, still scarred by Hyperion-laced hits, maintained some distance. The Dominion cited a need to coordinate with their distant leadership. Cass interpreted it as a sign that they now realized Earth wasn't easily pushed around. The Council, for its part, formed a new committee to oversee technology and resource sharing. Cass had reservations, but she recognized the potential for Earth to gain knowledge that could help them continue their own recovery. It was a risky gamble, yet every step forward in space exploration had always been a gamble. In the aftermath, the public was fed a softened version of events, referencing a peaceful conclusion to a misunderstanding. Official statements lauded the orbital command station's success in preventing a larger conflict. Only a handful of officials and military staff knew how close Earth had come to open war against an interstellar power. The resource conflict had taught them to keep panic and fear under wraps, to show unity in the face of an external threat. Many citizens accepted the narrative gratefully, preferring not to dwell on the possibility that Earth's new visitors might one day return in greater numbers. When Cass finally stepped off the station to board the Vanguard, she was hit by a wave of exhaustion. Yet she felt a surge of pride in her crew, in the Earth Security Council, and in the rigorous strategies that had saved them. The Hyperion fleet had only partially displayed its capabilities. If a second wave of Talar or any other hostile civilization arrived, Earth would be ready. The Admiral stood in the Vanguard's main corridor, letting the hum of the starship's systems soothe her. She thought of the path humanity had taken, from the brink of self-annihilation during the resource conflict to forging innovations that defied conventional logic. Necessity had shaped them into a formidable, if guarded, force. Perhaps this was the new reality, facing the cosmos without illusions, neither naive nor eager for conquest, but resolute in ensuring no one threatened Earth's hard-won future. Soon after, Cass resumed her post in the command seat, eyeing the navigation readouts. Over the next few hours, the Vanguard would patrol the outer region near the asteroid belt, ensuring no residual Talar surveillance devices lingered. More than once, she found herself wondering what might come next. The talk of forging alliances or technological exchange sounded like a step toward a broader galactic community. But trust was precarious. One misstep, one misjudgment, and they could find themselves at war again. She recalled how, in times past, humankind had torn itself apart. But ironically, that devastation had also engendered the fears that had just saved them from external conquest. While some might see Earth's emphasis on concealed weaponry and secret fleets as a cynical approach, Cass believed it was simply prudent. If the Dominion had arrived openly offering friendship and trade, Earth might have responded in kind. Instead, arrogance and hidden motives led the aliens to test humanity's might, and the cost of that test was a battered frigate, a partially destroyed defense platform, and a new awareness across the solar system that humans were no docile species waiting for instruction. When the Vanguard's next shift took over, Cass visited the quiet garden deck aboard, where a small greenhouse of engineered plants thrived, giving the crew a taste of Earth even while months away in the vacuum. She inhaled the fresh scents of greenery, letting them ground her. So many had sacrificed to ensure Earth's survival. They had all wanted to see a day when humankind could lift its eyes to the heavens without fear. Perhaps that day was still within reach, but the first contact had proven it wouldn't come easily. She thought of her final words to Savara, how she had said humans won't be anyone's pawn. The sincerity in Savara's response had given her a glimmer of hope. Sometimes, respecting power was the first step to forging a genuine treaty. The Talar, confronted with a civilization they had misjudged, might ultimately decide that peaceful cooperation was more profitable than confrontation. If so, this precarious alliance could evolve into something remarkable, a chance for humans to gain knowledge and for the Talar to secure resources ethically. Time would reveal the outcome. As Cass stood amidst the soft glow of the greenhouse lamps, she felt the burden of her uniform weigh on her shoulders. She was prepared to do whatever it took to safeguard the planet beneath her feet, the millions of souls who called it home, and the fragile hope that one day humans could belong to a peaceful galactic community. If that hope demanded vigilance, then vigilance would be their constant companion. Final clearance came in from the orbital command station. The Talar Dominion ships had fully disengaged from Earth orbit, quietly drifting out of immediate scanner range. The battered ones limped behind, traveling sublight until they achieved a stable formation. Cass half expected a last-minute betrayal, an ambush to test Earth's reaction time, but nothing happened. Silence reigned. The sensor logs indicated that the Dominion was truly departing. In a cosmic sense, they'd barely met, and already they were heading in separate directions. But the repercussions of that brief, tense encounter would shape Earth's policies for years. Research committees buzzed about capturing fragments of Dominion tech from the wreckage left near the station, while Earth's weapons engineers prepared to upgrade the Hyperion fleet even further. For now, Cass was content to let the day end with Earth intact, unoccupied, forging a new identity as neither conqueror nor victim. The darkness of space no longer felt as lonely. Someone else was out there. The real question was how many other someones existed, watching from the void, taking measure of this peculiar planet and its inhabitants. Her final glance at the swirling blue planet beneath her was laced with pride. She believed in humanity's hidden strength, shaped by tribulation and bound by an unrelenting will to endure. The Talar had tested that strength and discovered it was more than a match for them. Ultimately, if first contact gone wrong was the only way to prove Earth's resolve, then so be it. In cosmic diplomacy, showing weakness could be catastrophic. Now, the message was broadcast loud and clear. Earth would decide its own fate among the stars, no matter who came knocking. She turned away from the window, walking back to the command deck with measured steps. The next era was unfolding. This was only the beginning. If the Talar returned, it would be on more even terms or not at all. And if other civilizations lurked in the starlight, they would approach with greater caution. Cass wore a slight smile, reflecting on the paradox that had made it all possible. Out of the resource conflict's ashes, humanity had forged technology to shield its future, ensuring that no trespasser would ever again threaten their home without paying a steep price.